Hello and welcome back to another Warframe video. Today I'll be looking at the Staticor. This has been one of my favorite weapons for years, and it's been changed so much in the last few weeks. I feel like it's very appropriate to cover it since it seems like DE has created a final version of the weapon that we'll be using for a while before they think about changing it again. So, the weapon itself is a Corpus secondary. You can pick this up from a Corpus slab in your dojo. And the research requirement is fairly simple. However, the build requirement does demand 10 Fieldron and 3 Nighton extract, which might be a little expensive if you don't have those lying around. The mastery lock is 10 on this weapon, so it's not incredibly high, and honestly, it feels like a very strong weapon for that lower mastery requirement. So, getting into the actual function of the weapon, these are radiation gauntlets. A normal shot will throw out a pellet that does a third of the 132 base radiation of the weapon on the initial hit. Following that, the rest of the damage will be dealt in a 2-meter AoE. However, this weapon has a charge function, and that charge function lets you charge it up for 1 second. And after that 1 second, your damage is increased by 3, and your AoE goes from 2 meters to 8 meters on the radius, which is really cool. That is a large AoE. It is very nice for clearing rooms. However, the radiation damage does feel like it struggles against the Corpus shield, but nothing else really gets in the way too much of it. So, as you charge it, it should be noted though, the AoE does not scale unless it's fully charged, but the damage definitely does. I've done some testing in the Simulacrum. Getting into the builds of the weapon, I preferred modding it for corrosive, and I do this mostly because I struggle against things that have high armor, and the specific build is very personalized towards doing more damage and getting that corrosive proc if I can to kill targets that this would struggle against. But this is very good for clearing out low-level mobs, not even low-level mobs, even high-level, low-tier mobs. That's what you want this for, is it's mostly an AoE killer, although it does do so much damage that it's very easy to take out large targets with it. So, the weapon does have enough status to be modded for, it should be modded for status, but it also has a little bit of crit, so I've decided to mess around with this. As you can see though, I should probably max out my prime target cracker. Some of the other builds I've tried out lately have been the Corpus so-called build I've been doing, which has a gas proc on it. This has been my attempt to try to mess around with this on Orb Valis, and this one actually has been feeling very strong, this specific one at least. So this is what I'm running there, and this is just more gas damage because I don't want radiation damage into the Corpus shields. And the final config I have is a pure radiation as I attempted Eidolons with this. It's okay, but there's so many better options. Just I would avoid using this in Eidolons unless it's your only weapon. Alright, before I end the video, I quickly want to show off how this weapon works in the Simulacrum. This will be using the corrosive build. I'll pop that up on screen in case anyone forgot. This is for Forma. That's earlier in the video, but just in case you missed it. And you probably could save a Forma, actually, thinking about it, but actually, no, you couldn't for that build. For other ones, you probably could. But for this test, we'll just use the corrupted enemies at level 100. I feel like this is the highest level you would reasonably face, but keep in mind the niche of this weapon is clearing out crowds, not necessarily doing one single target nukes, although it does do a decent amount of damage. But for large groups of enemies, half the time it's best to just throw it at the floor in the middle to do more damage, but at the same time, if you get a hit, you do a lot more damage to someone. But as you can see, the radiation does still proc enough to confuse enemies, so it does make for a decent crowd control weapon as well. So, and there is one more feature I want to bring up, and this is something that's kind of useless. So, as you're charging it, if you make physical contact with an enemy, you do a little bit of damage and knock them down, but as you can see, it's pretty insignificant. I think that about covers it up for the weapon. Just be careful not to slide into people and lose your charge if you really want to nuke a room. It doesn't really matter too much anymore now that the charge time is a lot less, but it'll still mess you up. If there's anything else I should do differently in the next one, let me know in the comments. I'm a fan of criticism. I think that's it for the Staticor. Enjoy your Corpus radiation bombs. Peace.